What is up guys, Brix here, back with week 17 of Building Minas Tirith in Lego. Now sorry I missed last week, I just did not get enough progress done again. So I've saved it up for this week, so it's kind of 2 weeks of progress this week, if that makes sense. So without further ado, make sure to please drop a like and subscribe, as it really does help out the channel. We'll get right in to this week's segment. Starting off this week's segment, as you can see, 2 packages have arrived. This one is not to do with Minas Tirith, I'm pretty sure, but this one does have some parts that I'm going to need. As you can see in here, this is actually nicely packed. I do have a Pirates of the Caribbean minifigure, which coincides with that other smaller package. Some more of these archers, again, I used red ones last week because I've run out of those. So I've got white ones, another one there, 2 of these other archers for the bridge of the buildings, got loads of 1x1 bricks, and then some more of these archers, basically the same. That's just a little bit, obviously got a 1x1 brick on. So basically, that is those. As you can see in there, I've picked up some slopes. I got one of these inverted 1x2x3 slopes and a bunch more of the 1x2 inverted slopes. I got one of these cylinder pieces, as well as some 1x2 plates and some of those white leaf pieces. I thought they'd be cool for detail. I literally just needed one more to get one of the towers done. So that is those. I picked up some of these kind of quarter cylinders for the tower. It's kind of awkward to use the brick because there's obviously you've got the anti-stud, so there's like loads of holes in it. And then in here I picked up a bunch of plate. I've been just needing loads of 1x3 plates for quite a while. I've always kind of had to use the 1x1 and the 1x2, but now I can just use the 1x3s. So that is those. Starting off this week's segment, I'm going to change it up and go back to this rock work. I fixed the gap that was in here. I somehow had it a plate higher there than it was there, and obviously this sits on there a lot better. I've taken apart most of this wall. That is the thickness it needs to be, which is 8 studs, which is okay that I've found that out now. I've also needed to build this wall up slightly because I looked at this one. Obviously the archway isn't on the path, it's kind of set back a little bit, so hopefully I'll be able to do that in there as well as that one, but I've already incorporated for that one. And then obviously I'll be putting this top section on there as well, but I need to basically completely change that with the arch window there. Thankfully it lands on the brick, or just about, so maybe I can kind of just overlap that and save some brick obviously behind there. So this is obviously what we did last week, so I'm going to try finish off this area. It does incorporate taking this dark bluish grey section off by 1 stud and moving it back, so that's going to be kind of difficult because obviously it's holding up kind of all of the back bit is this kind of section here, so I don't want to be just too kind of rough with it and just rip it out. I want to kind of break that down as delicately as I can. So I'm going to start off by taking off this kind of section of wall. I've also built up this tower. It's just a little bit short, as you can see. I'd kind of like it a little bit higher, so I'm going to try order another 4 of those panels. So it'll be like one there, and then 2 around the other side, and then I can stick 4 domes on that because I do actually have another 2, so that'll be good. With that done, I've also started building up this section here. I've added in a little window with some texture around that, and then obviously building up this tower like that one is there, if that makes sense. I'm going to have another one. Kind of fills that little gap as well. So I'm going to try potentially incorporate this building next to it there, but I think it's going to be a bit of a tight squeeze, so I might just use it around the other side, because obviously last week I said I might put that in there, but with the tower in there I think it will look better. And then just have some kind of windows, potentially a 3rd one of those maybe there, but I'll look at some reference and see what kind of buildings there is, see what I can squeeze in that area. As you can see, I've built this section up, so I ended up kind of messing up with this bit. This came out a stud further out than it was meant to, so down there I've kind of added like a little lip, just a 1x1 kind of lip with those 2x4 inverted slopes, and then these kind of pillars that support that, if that makes sense. Then that lines up that and also kind of builds this in, and I've used this to basically stagger it so that this actually can be in the right place, if that makes sense. Although I'm not liking this gap, so I might pull that forward by 1, but then it's kind of like a 1.5 kind of plate gap down there, so I'm not really sure what to do with that, but they're kind of all similar. I mean, those ones are fine, but these 2 are kind of a little bit dodgy just because I can't quite get the angles that I want. I'm going to put a 8x8 round plate there, and then another 4
cylinders, and then another 8x8 plate, and then the you know, the dome. So I'll need to order another 2 of the domes, and then 4 of those, and then 2 of those plates. I've just put them in for now just to hold it in, basically. So I'm liking how that looks. I've also used one of these kind of setback windows. It's kind of big, kind of a big window in the grand scheme of things, but it's something to look at and a little bit more detail. One thing I also need to do is replace those red arches there for these. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. With that done, I'm going to add another building into here because it just needs that little bit more detail. I'm going to use this building from before and have that there basically, which should look nice, I think. And it's a little kind of another little building we've got, because obviously we've got a few around there over that side, so it makes sense to have one over this side as well. I can always make some more, as I said, I do have the parts now, but I think it's just looking a little bit blank there with that having to be kind of a flat against there. For the mountain, I think it could do with just having something on there. So I was toying with it going there, but I'd have to like kind of take this brick out the side, and obviously it's built, so it'd be kind of awkward. And it's also on the bend then, because if I had it in there, it'd be a lot easier and slicker. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. As you can see, I've added that in. I've also tiled all this section and all that section there that wasn't done before, and finished off this bit of kind of a rock work there as well. I've also put a little 1x2 tile in that gap, which just about fits in there. It's like a 1/4 of a plate gap. I'm not sure about why. I believe it's because of this line here kind of throwing it all out, but that is pretty good for the minute. That one up there is, I'm basically going to have to take this bit off because that's how tall it roughly is. Obviously that isn't enough room for a minifigure, and I'm going to put that in there so they're all the same, if that makes sense, because that's a pretty big gap compared to, oh, you can't see this one, sorry, compared to that one down there. That's a pretty big gap. I could build some more brick up, which would be easier, but if I'm taking that off anyway and it's the same size as that, then obviously these 3 will all look the same. But that is potentially a thing for next week, just because I don't really have the patience to start fiddling with those at the minute, because it's really fiddly and I feel like I'll just get annoyed pretty quickly. But that is going to wrap it up for this week's segment anyway. I'm pretty happy with all the progress that I have been able to get done. Obviously with this area down here, those parts are on the way, changing them out and kind of finishing this area off. That building down there too, I think looks really good. And then obviously finishing off that area there. So this side of Minas Tirith is definitely getting there. But that is Minas Tirith so far. So I'm really appreciating the support that I'm getting on this series. So without further ado, that does pretty much wrap it up for this week's segment.
So sadly, that pretty much wraps it up for this week's segment. I do hope you have all enjoyed. I didn't get as much progress as I would like to have got done, but I think that tower is looking really good. Obviously, if I can get them last 4 or maybe even 8 cylinders that I need, and the 1/4 dome pieces, I think that'll look really cool with a little tower there. Just kind of raise the skyline a little bit, if that makes sense. And obviously that little building that we did on the side as well, I think looks really good. So without further ado, make sure to please drop a like and subscribe, as it really does help out the channel. And I'll see you all in the next one. Take care, guys.